Hello, great people, and welcome to NEHMTECH. My name is NEHMTECH, and I'll be an instructor for the containerization course with Docker. And I'm going to explain what is Docker and why we need Docker. But then, before we start, I kindly ask you guys to subscribe to this YouTube channel, like the video, and also share it to your friends. I will appreciate it very, very much. Now, apart from the YouTube channel, we also have another account on X. We also have another one on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. The username is NEHMTECH, apart from Instagram where it is NEHMTECH_official. I will appreciate it very much. And also we have the WhatsApp channel where I usually provide such updates like these courses or any other tech information, sometimes some opportunities whenever they unfold or such tech information. So if you might be interested, I will attach the link in the description so that you can join and follow us. So guys, I want us to talk about containerization, and basically this tries to solve the issue where you have a project which is running very well locally on your computer, but then when you try to deploy it on cloud, it's not working. So you have that issue where you're telling the client that it is working on my computer, such issues. So that's where now the containerization comes in. It's like you're trying to package all your application in a single unit called in a single unit called container, where it's going to hold all the dependencies, all the dependencies that that application is depending on, such that when you shift from one computer to another, it's going to still work because all the dependencies and everything is packaged in a single application. So that idea is what we call containerization, an idea of like a packaging every requirement that your project depends on, including the project itself, into a single unit called container, so that you can be able to ship from one computer to another, and then it's going to run there very well. That idea is what we call containerization, and let's try to understand. And Docker is just one of the many containerization platforms you can use. We have many others, but then now the popular one is Docker, and it's much easier to use. So let's understand the Docker. Now, Docker is a platform that allows you to package application and their dependencies into containers. I've just explained the containerization, and I think of a container as a lightweight portable box that contains everything your application needs to run. I've just also talked about that. And the reason we use this one is, as I had mentioned, it tries to solve the issue where developers say it is working on my machine, but then when you try to deploy it on the server, it's not working. So this one ensures that your program or maybe your application, if it's running locally, is going to also run on a server because it's going to use all the dependencies that you are running it on the local machine. So the reason or maybe the benefits is why we use the Docker. This is for consistency. Let's say you have worked on a project, is working well with some dependencies. So the same way it is working there, it's going to run on the production on the server or maybe some other friend computer. So it's going to still run well. So this one is going to help your application to run on your computer, your colleague's computer, and also the production servers. And then also isolation. Each container is isolated, so application don't interfere with each other. For example, something like Python, it has like there are many versions of Python or maybe Node or whatever. So you might be having a project which is running on this particular version of Node, and then there's another project running on a separate version. So if you are going to work it locally with everything there, so you'll be having those conflicts. So basically the idea of containerization is going to help you on isolation of projects, so that each instance, it is running on the isolated environment, so that it doesn't interfere with the other. And then also these containers are lightweight and start in seconds. Yeah, so unlike the virtual machine, in fact, I'm going to demonstrate virtual, or maybe I'm going to explain virtual machines in a few. So this one is very much lightweight and easy to boot. And then also, these are portable, like they are not too heavy, so you can move containers between different environments quite easily because they are not that heavy. But then let me try to give you some differences between uh, the virtual machines and the containers. Now I've just written here Docker, but then it's going to stand for all the containerization. Remember, we have other tools that you can use for containerization, but then we're going to focus on Docker, so it's going to stand for all the containerization tools that you might be interested in. Remember, tonight we are going to focus on the Docker. Now, the difference between the virtual machine and containers, the virtual machine, these are like full operating system, but then you are trying to run them on the using the hypervisors. But first of all, your computer needs to have the virtualization enabled so that you can be able to use these hypervisor. Remember, we have type 1, which these are the hypervisors which are running on the on data centers, but then mostly for operating system, these are type 2, where you have a tool like, for example, the Oracle virtual machine, the virtual box actually. So you can use that type 2, of which is going to be more of a software, but then it's going to rely, or maybe it will require your system configuration, the resources like at the RAM, the hard disk, and all that, and these are quite heavy. So these are, are big in terms of the size, and then also since they are treated as a separate operating system, because on Windows, you can even be able to add in, for example, the Linux operating system. So they are more of an operating system. So to boot is going to take some time compared to containers, where these are going to share the host operating system kernel. And they are lightweight, and also they are fast to start because these are not like a separate or independent operating system. So they are going to use the host operating system kernel. Yeah, so guys, this is the reason as to why we want to learn containerization so that we can be able to address those issues that I've just illustrated. But then before we use Docker, we need to install it on our operating system. So straight away, let me demonstrate on how we can be able to install it on our computer. So guys, to install, you are going to go to your browser and then search for Docker download, and then click on this link www.docker.com /get started, and then you can learn how to install. But then since I'm going to demonstrate here, you don't need to do that. But then because I'm using the Windows actually, for different operating system, you might want to check on how you can be able to install Docker. But then for Windows, I'm going to use this option here, this button. Then I'm going to click on this download for Windows. So when I click on it, it's going to download the setup tool, or maybe the program that we are going to use to install on this operating system. So let me just download, and then it's going to take some time, as you can see here. So let me wait for it to complete, and then we proceed. So guys, once it has completed, go to where it is downloaded, probably in the downloads folder, and then you will double click on it, and then it's going to open the installation wizard. So guys, basically on this window, you must make sure that this one is checked. Use WSL2 instead of hypervisor. I recommend, and make sure that you're using this one. And then let's see this one, allow Windows containers to be used within this installation. Basically you can enable this one, or maybe you can just, okay, let's just enable this one. So this one is to allow containers to be used within this installation. Yes. So once you agree to this one, then you will click on the OK. Then it's going to take some time to install. So let's give it a moment, then we are going to proceed. Yeah, so once it has completed the installation, so it might prompt you to reboot your computer. I don't know why it's not prompting me, but then on your end it might tell you to reboot your computer for it to complete the installation. But then let me here click on the close, and so let me try to open it. But then guys, on your end, make sure that if it's your first time you have rebooted your computer, I think it might prompt you to do so. So make sure that you reboot your computer so that it can be installed very well. And then what I will do here is to go and search for the Docker, and then I'm going to open it, that application, that program, and then it's going to open the Docker here, and I just want us to see the desktop version and how it looks like. So you'll need to accept by there. I need to accept this the subscription service or whatever. Let's accept, and then I think it's going to open it. Yeah, it's going to open. Then here you might want to log in. Yeah, so guys, I've just signed into this Docker. So let me go to the desktop now, and then it should be opening. If not, I will need to reboot it. Yeah, so basically this is the interface of the containers, and also they have some tutorials. By the way, you can see there's this documentation. For example, if you want to learn what are containers and all that, so you can be able to check here. Are you able to like learn, for example, what is a container, or maybe how for example, if you want to containerize your application. Now I have a sample application here that we are going to use for for learning purposes. But then don't mind about this screen at the moment, because we're going to I'm going to demonstrate how to use the commands, mostly not with this software, but then you need to have this one for you to for you to use it well. You need to have the Docker desktop, that is of which is going to have an engine behind it that's going to power your containers so that it can be able to run on the virtual on this here on the containers. But then I want us to first of all check if we have containers. Now using now the CLI, actually we have the desktop version, but then I want to show you how to check with the CLI. So I'm going to use any like a command prompt or PowerShell or terminal, depending on your operating system, and then you can just type there docker dash version, and then it's going to tell you the version. Actually the time we are doing the video, it is 21.0.1. so this is the one that we have just installed. This is what we have just installed. Try to run this command here, docker run any sample, for example hello dash world. This message shows that your installation appears to be working correctly. Yeah, so this is really fine. Now we need to have the image, because I can see here it's telling me that unable to find the image. So guys, I want us to create an image. I want to show you how you can be able to create an image here, and I will be using the Alpine, which is very lightweight. I will be using that one. But then I have a project. In fact, I'm going to create a tutorial. I'm going to create a video on how to create this symbol portfolio website, which is like a fetching everything from the back end. So this one is more dynamic, and it could be very helpful to non-tech person, because they can just go to the back end and then they can just add in some feature there. Then I'm going to automatically populate in the front end, like the skills, the work experience and all that. But then let me just try to run it so that we see it first before we even go to the code. So let me cd to backend, and then now don't worry about this one. I'm going to create a tutorial. Actually after this Docker course, I'm going to create a full video course for the web application. These are a full stack a personal portfolio website. And then front end here I used to create React app, so I'm going to run it with npm start. Let's first of all see this project, because I want us now to create an image for both the backend and the front end, and then we'll be able to run it on the what do we call it, on the Docker. So as you can see, this is a simple project that remember, this information is fetching from the backend, and I'll be demonstrating how to use the Django, and also the contacts are actually working. This one we're using Django in the backend, so like everything is fully dynamic. You can see this experience. Now, for example, if I'll try to remove any of the scale here, for example, let's say communication, I want to remove it. Actually, first of all, it's here on the scales. There's communication here on the others. So if I will remove it, I will remove the communication. Then on this other side, you can see it's not displaying. So everything is fetching from the backend, including this resume. All this information actually are being fetched from the backend. These featured projects you worked on and all that. So it's fetching from the backend, and the purpose was just to demonstrate how to use a backend and at the front end, like a front end backend integration, and also the API. So this was the main purpose, is to I didn't hard code everything from to the front end to make sure that, for example, if you are building for a client, it will be easier for them to manage them, like to add in new skills, to update and all that. But then I want us to create an image for this one, and first of all, I'm going to begin with the front end. Let me create a new bash here. I'm going to use actually bash. By the way, you might want to use the git bash. This one is going to be much easier. So let me cd to front end. I'm going to use bash. If you have git bash, then this is going to be very key. It is a universal command line, because you might be using a different operating system that does not support some of the commands that I'll be using on the command prompt. So I want to use a universal command line. So you can just go and download git, and then it's going to come with the bash. So I'm going to use the git bash. If you do not have any skills on that, I have a course for Git and GitHub. You can go and check it. So on the front end, I'm going to create now. I'm going to create a container. I'm going to create an image here, and you're going to use a file called. Now inside this front end, I'm going to create here a file at the root called I'm going to call it Dockerfile. Actually, the Dockerfile, it doesn't have the extension. You just write Dockerfile like that. You just write the Dockerfile, you begin with the capital, then a Dockerfile the way it is, without any information, any extension like that. And then the first thing you need to specify the image. You need to specify the image that you are going to use here. So remember, when you go to Docker, and especially Docker Hub, let's try to search Docker Hub. Docker Hub, you'll be able to see there are many container images that you can choose from. There are quite a number of container images that you could pull. You could choose. You could choose to use, and I'll be using Alpine. I think it's here. I'll be using Alpine. This one. It's very simple, lightweight. I'll be using this one, so you can be able to pull it directly. So how do you do that? Let's try to pull it. So you can use the command called docker pull, and then the image docker pull, and then Alpine. I don't know if that's the spelling, Alpine, like that, and then is going to pull this latest version. Remember, you can as well specify the version that you want to use. So once you have it on your computer, then I want to use it for this specific project, the front end, and also the base image that we are going to use here will be using this is React, and React uses Node is the runtime. Remember, everything there is written with JavaScript or TypeScript, so the runtime environment, like the base one, should be Node. So we have several images for that. And how do you check the version of a node you are using on this project? You can run this command node dash dash version. Now this is more of the latest. This is more of the latest version. This is more of the latest version. Like sometimes you might try to deploy on a server, but then maybe it doesn't support maybe the latest version there or something like that. So we can use something that's quite stable. So, or maybe we can even use this, and it is not bad for this same case. So you need to specify. Now if you want to specify the image, you can say from. You're going to use the keyword from, and then you're going to specify the base image. So here this is node. This is, sorry, I need to type now in small, node, and then the version we're going to use 20. You can see here it is 22, and then you'll specify the Linux kind of an image here. So we are going to use this Alpine because this is the one that we have just installed here. So we are going to use this Alpine the way it is. So this is the first line you need to configure, like you need to specify the image first that you're trying to use here, and then so once you've done that, the other thing you need to specify the work directory where this application is going to run from. So it's more of like a folder where your project is going to run from on the Docker. So in a new line, I'm going to, okay, by the way, I think I can add in some comment so that you can be able to get well. So here maybe I can say use node JS, or maybe let me just setting up. Let me just say setting up the image or something like that. And then in a new line here, I can write a comment, for example, to this is a work directory. Directory is like a folder, like a work folder, directory. You know, sometimes when I talk and type, I can get sometimes confused. So to create a working directory folder, to create a working folder, you're going to use this command W. In fact, it has given me. So this work directory, then you'll need to specify path to the working directory, and then this one I'm going to create a folder called application. Sorry, let me write in small app. So this is the folder or maybe the working directory, and inside the Docker that I'll be running the project from on this front end. And then I'll need to specify the dependencies. Now the advantage with the React, when you download any or when you install any package, it's going to automatically list them in the package.json. It's going to list them on the package.json, and we also have this package log or whatever. We have some dependencies there. So what you do if you want to install those dependencies, you can before you install, you need to have this file because they are carrying our dependencies. You will need to copy these two files into this folder, this app, because it's going to contain all the dependencies that this React is going to use. So I'm going to write here, let me write a comment, for example, to copy you know, package. Okay, to copy package. These are package files. Now, how do you copy? You're going to use a command called copy, and then you'll need to specify you're trying to copy it from. You're trying to copy what file, and you want to copy it to where. So I'm going to say copy, and the file here it is package, this package. But then you notice that we also have a package -log. We also have the package.json. Now, if you want to write some kind of a syntax that's going to hold, or maybe it's going to specify or target these two files without like writing separately. So the command is package.json. Then you can begin here with asterisk, which is going to stand for something quite arbitrary. So it means that after this package.json, it can have any other thing, like for example -log, and then after it has those information, it must end with the extension .json. So in this case, this asterisk here is going to stand for anything. Like after this package, it can have any information. Remember, could be 0 or more characters. So this asterisk is going to target both this package which doesn't have any character after it, after the word package. But then this asterisk is going to capture also this other one that has some other characters, but it ends with the extension .json. Then another thing, you need to specify where you are trying to copy it to. So I'm going to copy it to the current directory. Actually, you're going to use this dot to specify the current directory. You're going to place it there. So in this command, it means that we're trying to copy from this current directory. We're going to copy package JSON. Remember, I've already navigated to my front end here. So I want to copy from this front end. I want to copy a package with some characters, maybe after the package. Of course, it's going to capture this package and also the package log, package and then .json. And then now the second parameter here you are specifying, you want to copy it to where? Remember, the working directory here is up, so we want to place these two files at this working directory, which is now the current directory. After when you reach here, it means that you are under this working directory up. So that's the first thing. So once you have these two files that are containing our dependencies, then we can use a node package manager to install those dependencies that are in this package JSON and also package log. So what is the command? Let me write here a comment again. Let me say install dependencies. Dependencies. Now remember, I'm trying to demonstrate how to do it like locally, but then the instruction will be the same on the production. Actually, the way, if you want to know the procedure, like I just think on a way on how you usually run your application. For example, if it is backend or front end, so you need to have, first of all, for the application to run, you need to have all the dependencies. Once you have all the dependencies, then you can use the command like npm start if you're using the create react app. But if you're using something like Vite, you'll be using the npm run dev if it is on development. So like I just think of that procedure you usually follow. So those are the instructions that you are going to write on the Docker file, only that you must begin with the the image, and then the second one, which is very optional, you are specifying the working directory, and then you're going to have the dependencies. You're going to have like those dependencies for your application to run. You need to have those dependencies. So we are going to copy the dependencies which are listed in the package.json. We're going to copy those dependencies now to this app or maybe working directory, and then once you have the dependencies listed, then you can be able to install them using the command run. I'm going to write here run, and then now the command here is on development. In fact, not on development only, but then also on production. I'm going to use npm is a node package manager install. So this one is going to install all the dependencies listed on the package JSON. It's going to install all of them, and then once you have those dependencies, it means that your React app will be able to run successfully. So the other thing, you need to now specify all other application dependencies, or maybe all the dependencies that these okay, like the files. Now the everything about the file data are going to be required to run your application, including this SRC that has those components, and literally everything that you need to have for that front end to run. You need to also copy it to this working directory called app. So how do you do that? And let me write here the command. Okay, like the comment first, copy all files now. Copy all the files now. To copy it, I'm going to write the command copy. You're going to write the command copy, and then again this one takes two arguments, two parameters you need to specify. You're copying from where and then to where. So first of all, I'm trying to copy from this current directory, so you can just write this dot to specify you're trying to copy from this current directory, which is front end. So instead of like specifying front end, you can write this dot to stand for the current directory. Then now the other place where you want to copy it to. So I want to also copy, remember currently I'm on this working directory called app. So I want to copy them on this current working directory. So I'll still use this dot. But then now remember the second dot, it is to specify the current working directory on the container on the Docker. But then now this first dot is going to target now where I am at currently. Then now this is now the Docker working directory. Remember, when you run this command, it's going to navigate you to a new working directory, and then now you're going to list the dependencies files. Then you're going to install those dependencies. Once you have the dependencies installed, then you will copy now the rest of the files. Now remember, it's going to, when you're going to run this command, it's going to create your node what do you call it, node modules. So you'll not need to export this one as well the other side. So there's a file that you can be able to create, which is going to ignore some of the files you don't want to list them on the when you're trying to copy them to your image. So first of all, I've listed, I'm going to copy everything, although I'm going to create a file that's going to ignore what I don't want, like similar to git ignore, but then this is for the Docker so that you don't copy all the files this current directory. So once you've copied, remember the command that I usually use to run it is to run usually npm start if you're using npx create react app. So first of all, you need to specify the port where it will be running from. So let me try to export the port. So let me say expose the port where this project is going to run from. Expose and then the port. So mostly I usually use a 300 port 3000 actually. So I'm going to write this command expose to expose the port, and then now the port here it is, I say 3000. This is the port that's going to the front end is going to use. And then once you have exposed the port, then the command is npm start. Now since these are two commands, npm then start, then you will need to write them in more of a list, in more of an array, so that it's going to execute sequentially npm start. So how do you write that command? You need to begin with the word cmd, which stands for the command executable command. Then now since the commands cmd, since the commands not just one, there are two, you need to write an array of executable commands. You can see this is the syntax. So I'm going to write them. Now the first one here is going to be npm, and then the other one, okay, so let me write in small, npm, and then the other one is start, npm start. So with this you are good to go. So like normally how you usually run locally, so these are the steps that I usually follow. Remember on production there are several steps. We'll be using npm run build, but then this one is mostly to demonstrate on the development. But then also when I'll be teaching you guys, or maybe I'll be walking you through how to create that portfolio website from the very scratch, I will try to deploy it. So I will explain the Dockerfile. That is, if I will remember. And then now, since this command is going to copy everything, but then when you're going to install, is going to create also the node module. So you don't want to again copy, because you might be having the conflicts or something like that, like you'll be repeating yourself. So basically, there's a way you can be able to ignore some files that should not be tracked on the when you'll be trying to copy to your Docker. So within this front end, I'm going to create a folder called, no, not a folder, but then a file called dot docker just type there docker ignore docker ignore. Let me see if I've written well. Dot docker ignore. So when you write this docker ignore, you can list all the files that you don't want to expose. So the first command here okay, like the folder that I don't want to include here is node modules. So node underscore modules. Node underscore modules. We know that when you're going to run this npm install is going to create, so there's no need for a duplicate. And then also you might not want to have the git ignore as well. This is unnecessary, so I can write that dot git ignore these files, but also remember there are many more hidden files that we can't see, like because this one, it has git, so it has the .git folder, .git, and many other things. But then just to demonstrate, these are the useful files that I want to ignore at the moment. So like once you've listed, remember I've not listed everything. You might want to list everything that you don't want to ignore, including some of the VS Code extension that are on this folder. You might want to list all of them here, but then these are the key folders and files that I don't want to track them on there, or maybe not tracking actually, like adding to the Docker image. I want us to build the image that we have created here. I want us to build it now. But then I've just deleted some of the containers that were here initially. Remember, the command is to delete everything. You can use this command, docker system prune -a-f to force, and then a volume. Now this command, as they have said here, is going to remove all the volumes along with the other resources. But then the other option here to also specify a specific image. But then now, actually, I believe you are a beginner, you don't have much. Now to be on the same page, I want us to be here. So I want us to build this image that we have created. I want to build this image that we have just created here. So the command, it is docker build, but then we want to add in also a tag so that we can easily reference it. So maybe to add in now the tag, I can say -t, and then now the tag name, I can call it front end, then maybe dev or something like that, because we might be having for production or whatever, and then now the period. So this one is going to build this Docker image. Yeah, so guys, basically this command is going to build this Docker image, but then with the tag front end, so that you can be able to reference it quite easily. So this one I've specified dev so that I can easily know quickly for this Docker image that we're trying to build. So I'm going to run it, then it's going to build, and then remember there are quite a number of steps here. Now I had forgotten earlier, so this npm, this install should be in small. I had forgotten to update that, and then I just changed earlier. So the command is install. So what it's going to do is going to execute. First of all, it's going to create the image, the base image. This is the first step. It's going to download the base, or maybe establish the base image. The second step here is to creating the work directory, of which it has done here, step 2. Then now the step 3, this is to create to copy these files, of which it has done here successfully. And then now the last one here is to install these dependencies. So the command, it is npm in small run npm install. I had be written in capital earlier, but then I've just modified, should be small I install. And then once it installs, then it's going to copy now other dependencies. It's going to copy other dependencies here, the root that we have just included in the .docker ignore, so that it will not be copied. So this npm run is going to like install all the dependencies that were in the package JSON. So it is in step 4 or 5. Then once it finishes this step, then it's going to go to the last command of exposing the project to use this port, and maybe the application to use this port, which it is now that one. Then I'm going to, okay, first of all, it's here before it exposes. Actually, I think it has already done the copying. Then it's trying to expose the image, and then it's going to use this port 3000. Then the command that is going to use is the npm start. So I'm going to give it a moment. Then once it is completed, then I'm going to confirm or verify the image that I have just created. Remember, I've just deleted all other images earlier, including their volumes, because I had I did not have like a useful containers or images there earlier. But then now, if you're having now your other projects that you've created the containers for, that don't run that command unless you know what you're trying to do. Now let me clear. So it has completed exporting and the image, so it's fine. The other thing, I want to confirm the image we have created. How do you confirm? You're going to run docker images, then it's going to list all the images that we have. So the image that we are having is front end :dev. So this is the tag that I was saying that we'll be using. And then once this one is created, we created that image, or I build that image. The other thing, we will need to also establish the network that this project is going to use, the network. So the network, I can use the container, I can use docker docker network docker network and then I'm going to use create docker network create. Then I can just call it even front end front end, I think that's the word. Front end, that's the spelling. Docker network create front end, and then this one is going to create. And then once it has created, you can also confirm if it's created well. So you can use the command docker network, but then this time not create, this time it is listing, so it is ls. And then this is the network that we have here. It is, the name is front end, then the driver is bridge and all that here. So this the one that we are going to use. And then once we have the network configured very well, then the other thing is we need now to run the container which we have created. So how do you run it? We are going to use the command called, so it is docker run, but then I want us to configure some other things. Basically, this you could have done or implemented in the Docker Compose, but then I want to make it simple, so I'm going to write here directly. Now, if you want to write like several commands before you run, you can use the backslash to allow you to add in some other commands before you run. So I'm going to specify the name of the container I want to run, and also the network, the port, and some other things. So I'm going to write now the backslash to allow me to add in some other commands. So it is docker run -d. And then on the second line, I'm going to specify the name. So the name here it is the name it is. Now, first of all, let me try to delete this one, this front end, and then just confirm that it's not working. Yeah, I've just removed. Let me try to check on this other end if it is running 127. Yeah, so I wanted to see, you can see now it's no longer working, so I want to see if it's going to use the container later. So On the name here, the name is going to be front end actually. Let me just call it. Okay, like actually, the name for the name for the front end, I can just call it front end by the. I want to be consistent, so name, let me call it front end. Now to establish also the network, I'll write now this backslash to allow me to write there the network. So dash dash network dash dash network, and then for the network I gave it what front end. It was named front end, right? Front end dash dash network front end, and then the name of the network, and then also we can specify the port by typing dash p, and then I exposed on port 3000, so I'm going to use port 3000 like that. Now to allow me to write another command, I'm going to write now the backslash, and then in a new line I can specify where actually I can specify the mount source folder for the hot reload. Like basically we usually have what do we call it? We usually have like normally React, when it reloads, like when you try to modify something, it usually auto reload. So for hot reload, we can specify the path to it, and this is the command that we're going to use. But then this is specifically for for the Linux or Mac, or this bash. Don't use this command on the command prompt because it's not going to work. So it is -v, then write dollar symbol, but then in command prompt you will write what do you call it? No, actually in command prompt you will write %, but then in bash or a Linux or Mac you write this symbol, dollar symbol, then pwd to specify the src folder for mounting the on hot reloading. So I can specify the path to this public. So the path is and the working directory, which is up, then backslash folder. No, sorry. Should be okay. Let me begin with the src, and then I'll come to this. Let me just specify my source folder. I'll specify also the src. Then I'll specify the public later src. So this is where our source files are, and then to write also for the let me just confirm if I've written well. So dollar symbol pwd bracket, then src. This is really fine. And now also for the for the public, I'm going to do the same thing. pwd, and then pwd, and then public, and then now the path to it is the working directory, which is up, then public. Let me just confirm if I've written well. So it is pwd /public up public. So this is really fine. Now if I want also to specify the node modules, I can write the backslash, and then like that, and then I can write -v, and then /up, and then node modules, and then lastly, to run it, we will need to specify the tag to the container. So the tag to the container is what it was a front end dev, I think, dev, front-end dev, let me run. Yeah, so if you see running it this way, like if you do not see an error, then it will mean that it is running successfully. It is running successfully. So first of all, okay, this is the name of the that I'm giving the, what do you call it, the container, and then now this is the network, and then this is the we are trying to map the port, this 3000, to this one that we had exposed. We're trying to map it there. So the first one, we're trying to specify the port, and we're trying to map it with the one that we exposed there. And then this other one, we're trying to just specify uh, like on the hot reload, like when you're trying to modify something, it usually populates on the front end. So for that, we are trying to use this need to mount. Like for example, on the hot reload, we are going to mount the changes to this SRC folder, like on the hot reload to mount the SRC folder for hot reloading, and then similar case to the public folder, and then but then we will not need to overwrite the I will not need to overwrite the, what do we call it, the node modules that will be created. We want it to be consistent because those are the dependencies. So we can preserve the node modules by not writing this command similar to the SRC and public, so that we can preserve the node modules directory. And then we have run to this command by specifying the tag. So how do you confirm if it is running? To check if it's running, you can run this command called docker ps. So it's going to list for you the one that are running. Like I was going to list for you the containers which are currently running, and then you can see this is it, and then status is up 2 minutes ago, and then this is the port that is listening to, and then it is exposed to this TCP. So basically this is it. So we can try to run, and then we'll see if it's going to run to work. Yeah, so you can see guys, it is working. So initially we had it wasn't working, but then now it is. You can see it is working. So we have created our first container, and then it is now running. It's now running successfully. But then remember here, the backend is currently using my because I haven't closed my backend, so it is using it. It is using it. But then if you will need to configure also the backend container, you can be able to do it so on the backend by creating the Dockerfile, then creating the script. So actually, the secret to the Dockerfile is like you're trying to provide an instruction that should be executed when you want to run that application. Like for example, the steps that you could have taken if you wanted to run the Django application. The first thing you need to specify the runtime environment, or maybe the main dependency. So for backend, you'll be using Python, and then a specific version, and then at the image that you installed, this one is Alpine because it's quite light. You'll be using Alpine as well on the backend. Then now you can specify the working directory for the backend, similar to, you can even use the app still. And then once you've done that, also you can be able to copy. But then now for the backend, you will require these requirements.txt. Remember, I will demonstrate the backend when I'll be creating the course, or maybe a full video tutorial for creating the full backend, or maybe a full stack portfolio website that's going to fetch everything from the backend with the APIs to the front end. So you'll need to specify, you'll need to copy the requirements. Once you have that, so instead of like running this npm, so Python usually use the node package manager. So you'll be running what do we call it, pip install, then that file, because they are in a file, the requirements are in the file, so you'll be installing it recursively. So once you have installed the dependencies, then you can also copy everything, exclusion of the file that you'll be listing on the docker ignore those files, but then it's going to copy everything. Once you have copied everything, then the other thing that you will need to do for Django is to run the command python manage.py run server, and then wait. Not actually, that's the last command that will be specifying, but then you'll need to also, once you have installed and then you've copied everything, then you can also export the port that the backend should be using, which is 8000. Then now you write here the command, but then now for the backend you'll be specifying python and then manage.py, then the command run server. So it'll be releasing the series of the command that should be executed there. And then once you've done that, then I will repeat the process that we have demonstrated for the front end. But then I don't want to do that because it's going to be a lot of time, and I don't want to keep you here. But then guys, at least you have now an idea of how the containers work. Remember, this one I'm running under the containers. You can notice I'm not running that command. You can see, in fact, I can clear this one. You can see this one is closed. Like I've not run the npm run dev here, but then this project is running here because of the image of the container that I've created. So you can see it is running here. So if you want to export, you can be able to even ship to another application. So it's going to just use this container. So if you want to ship it to another computer, so you just be exporting this container there, and then it's going to run exactly there, including to the server. So this is the problem that the Docker tries to solve. It's just an idea of bundling everything or all the requirements into an image, such that when you'll be creating the container or the instance of your project, it's going to have all the dependency requirements that your application is going to need for it to execute successfully. I'm going to create a video course or maybe a video tutorial how to build this entire portfolio website from the very scratch to its completion. Backend will be Django, and then a REST framework for the APIs, and then a front end will be using React. And then I'm going to explain code by code everything that I'll be doing. I'll be able to demonstrate. And then once we've done that, then I'll also demonstrate how you can be able to create a Docker image, and then also how to deploy it on the cloud. I'll be using Railway, and also how to create a persistent storage. But then you have a basic overview of what containers does, or maybe containerization is, and what is Docker. Is a powerful tool for containerization. So guys, if you find the video has been quite helpful, kindly please support me by subscribing, like the video, and also share. But also remember to check on some of the Linux commands. They are quite very useful, especially when you reach to matters DevOps or maybe containerization is quite a key thing to learn. So make sure that you do some research on the basic Linux command, because I will be writing them most of the time, especially when you'll be going to production. You'll not be using these Windows commands. You'll be using the Linux command. So you might want to check on that, because for production there are some other steps that I'll be demonstrating as well for production configuration for the containers. Otherwise guys, this was it for today. Yeah, so guys, this was it for the containerization with Docker. Kindly subscribe, like, and share this video to your friends. Until next time, this is Nehemiah. Goodbye.